Hello, I'm Al Horner. I'm here with BeatCast TV, where joining me today are the lovely Lo. So we've got Mimi and Alan. Hello, guys. How you doing?
Hello.
Good, good. Nice to be here. How you
Lovely to
doing?
meet you. So you're on the cusp of releasing your 10th studio album, which
Yes.
Also marks your 20th anniversary as a band. Am I right in thinking?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So Lo is out of its early teenage years. They grow up so fast, don't they?
Yeah. We're almost legal.
Almost.
Yeah.
So what are the plans for the 20th anniversary? What celebrations will there be aside from this wonderful album?
Well, I don't know. We're not really marking it too much. I think it maybe calls attention too much to the fact that we've been around for 20 years.
Yeah.
It has its diminishing returns, so to speak. But I don't know. We have we have some touring to do, but we have this specific show we're going to do with these friends of ours in Minneapolis, kind of backing us up with bluegrass instruments, kind of like a string quartet, except banjo and violin and
Acoustic bass, I
acoustic.
guess.
Yeah.
So over the course of 20 years, you've of course become one of the most enduring and important indie rock bands in America. What's the secret? How do you do it?
I don't know. I think the secret is don't be too successful.
Yeah, yeah. I think the fact that it's always been a little bit of a kind of a slow build over the years has helped. I think if it was a little more up and down, it would have been a little harder to navigate, and I think we would have been easier to second guess yourself. I think we always kind of were left to our own fruition to do whatever we want, and without necessarily any overbearing feeling of like, oh, it's got to do this, or it's got to follow up this, or we just pretty much just kept trying to make hits. And,
Unsuccessfully trying to make hits.
Yeah.
And then,
So I've got this
Yeah.
thing the whole way. I've got it completely wrong. You're actually just a failed pop band then.
We're absolutely
Yeah.
a failed pop band, continuing
really,
to fail.
yeah.
All this time you just wanted to be Toto.
Toto, Doobie Brothers. Yeah, Wings.
There you go.
Though there's still time. So I mean, what point do you you've started a band? At what point do you kind of wake up and think, wow, this is a big deal? Is it when you're touring with Radiohead? Is it when you're starting to see more and more people at your shows? Is it when Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin is covering your tracks?
Huh?
Yeah, those
Kind of
things
all
are
those
all
things,
yeah,
yeah.
pretty amazing. They definitely make you step back and kind of maybe, I don't know if it's look at yourself in a different way, but just kind of reaffirms that maybe what you're doing is of value.
Yeah, we kind of had. Seemed like we always had little things happen, along that sort of were encouraging, and some of it was encouraging, some of it was a little bit of money just at the right time when we thought we were going to have to shut things down for a while and stuff. So we're real lucky. I mean, John Peel was really nice to us. That really helped a lot, and opening for Radiohead certainly legitimized us perhaps in some people's eyes a little bit, and I don't know. Yeah, it kind of keeps surprising us. That's I don't know. Maybe that's the key. Maybe that's, and sadly you don't really have control over those things. So I guess it kind of, we've been pretty lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There must have been harder times as well, of course. Were there points where you thought, okay, like I'm not sure how much we've got left in this? It's quite a demanding schedule you have, always touring and being as prolific as you are. I mean, this is your 10th album in 20 years. An album every 2 years has got to take its toll, right?
Yeah, I mean, every once in a while it comes in different forms.
Usually after we record, we kind of start, thinking, we can't do this. What don't have any.
you feel,
we run out of ideas, we think, or.
Yeah, you feel kind of empty after you've written songs and kind of finished them, and you feel like you've wrung yourself out a lot, and sort of the idea of another one takes a while, but eventually a song or two will come along, you write a few things, and it'll sort of inspire to keep going. I don't know. Yeah, we've had weird things from time to time. We've had a couple bass players, and sometimes that's frustrating and discouraging, and
set you back a little bit.
Set you back a little bit, but
bassists say.
Yeah, they always. I'm not gonna say it.
Okay.
We're doing great right now. I don't want to upset her.
Okay, so I've got to ask, having such a sort of sparse and austere sound, in the beginning, was it difficult getting audiences to give you the kind of silence and attention that makes that work?
Oh, we didn't really expect that. I mean, when we first started, we knew we were doing something that was going to be kind of pushing the buttons a little bit, pushing the extremes with people. It was the early 90s. People were, young people were pretty excited about underground music, and there was sort of a surge of popularity and bigger audiences and stuff. But at the same time, stuff like what we were doing was still sort of against the grain. And yeah, we knew what we were getting into. I mean, part of the appeal of starting the band, and even the idea of doing our first show, was to see kind of how it would grade against people. I mean, we loved what we were doing. By the time we'd written a couple songs, we were pretty happy with it, and we felt like, oh, there's something to this. It might be this might be deeper than we thought, and so yeah, by the time we did our first show, it was sort of a little bit of, we loved what we were doing, but we also were kind of excited to see how much others would hate it.
And coming off the back of sort of grunge and all the other sorts of music that were around that time, how much of your sound was a reaction to that? You seem to take a lot of the elements of it, the kind of gritty guitars, quieten it down. Do you think consciously or subconsciously part of what you were doing and what you continue to do was a response to that?
I don't know. I don't remember having that, that conversation, but I think we were aware that it was, that it was kind of...
It was different from what I was doing. I mean,
I
think deep down inside I felt like kind of the spirit of what we were doing, and the idea of trying to do something new and kind of pushing the envelope, pushing the audience a little bit, was actually very much where that music came from. And before Nirvana hit, all that music was very underground, and it was, it was disturbing, and there was a variety of different ways to be uncomfortable when you go see bands, and so I don't know, when we started, we were kind of trying to keep that spirit going, try to keep doing something new, and I don't know, I think over time that of course changes. Pretty soon people start paying to come see you because they know who you are, and they've heard some of your records and whatnot, and so definitely after a while we were getting people coming that were that wanted to listen. So, but yeah, first few years were pretty interesting. Got yelled at a lot and stuff thrown at us and stuff, but I don't know, man. That stuff just, when you're young, it just makes you grit your teeth harder and makes you feel alive, I think.
All right, so I mean, you've stripped back even further on The Invisible Way. A lot of the album seems to revolve around kind of just a guitar and piano. Was that a conscious decision to do that with this album?
Yeah, I wrote a few of the songs, and I'm not a piano player, but I wrote the songs on the piano. So I guess it kind of stemmed from that, yeah, and then as we got into the studio, after we demoed the songs, we got into the studio, and it just, we got a really beautiful, Alan got a little, well, didn't get it, but he played an old acoustic guitar from the 40s, and so everything just seemed to kind of come together, so we stuck with that.
I don't know, we've kind of moved around in sort of sounds and instrumentation over the years, and I guess this time I don't know, I kind of say we took a gamble at using like piano and acoustic guitar. I don't know, they're instruments that have been used a lot, and there's there's a lot of cliches and a lot of ways to overuse those instruments, and I guess we kind of just took it on as a challenge to see what would happen. I think Jeff Tweedy, who produced the record, was helpful with that. I remember having conversations with him before we went in and just playing the demos and saying, well, we'd really like to be able to keep it simple, and it was good because when we started second guessing ourselves a little bit, he would kind of kick in and say, "Yeah, steer us back." Yeah. No, this is good. It's going well.
Well, I guess a lot of it was because "Come On," the last recording, seemed to be
a little more lush.
Yeah, a little more lush,
more produced,
and so
labored over.
Alan isn't happy unless he kind of goes contrary to what he's done in the past. It seems he wants to.
Well, in small ways.
A little, in small ways, yeah. But you don't want to. What? Well, we never do. We don't want to make the same record.
Yeah.
Back to back or even at all, I guess.
Yeah, I like recording to be kind of an unpredictable process. You set up a situation where you're sort of know enough to be able to trust it, but also you don't know enough about it to really know what's going to happen. And I don't know. I guess just experience. We were a little more comfortable with kind of letting that happen. When you first make a few records, making your first few records, you're learning and you want to be able to, really fill it up with everything that you can possibly say and stuff. And I don't know. I think over time you're able to be more patient and let something breathe a little bit and let it be said, because you know that with any luck you'll get another chance to try something else and show the other side if you need to.
And you mentioned Jeff Tweedy there from Wilco, who of course produced the album. What was working with Jeff like?
It was pretty smooth, he's made a lot of records, and he's made a lot of records in that space.
Because you went to Chicago to their studio.
Yeah,
the Loft, right?
The Loft is what they call it. It's basically their warehouse studio where they keep everything. They've recorded probably the bulk of their records there, and he's starting to produce a few other people and bring people in. But it was cool. He knows his studio. He has a really good engineer there named Tom Schick, and I don't know. Yeah, it was interesting. He just kind of we sent him demos so he knew what was going on, and he said, sounds good. Didn't really have any interest in changing anything or changing anything in the songs or lyrics or anything like that. He was just mostly there to kind of help us get good takes, which seems like a small thing, but it really, that last little that elusive last 5% that everybody is trying to get in quality of, when you're recording, a lot of that comes down to the takes that you do and whether you have the perspective to know whether you've gotten it or whether you're heading there or whether you're on the wrong path. I don't know, especially vocals too. Singing, having someone else literally in the headphones, coaching, cheering you on, so to speak, was really helpful, and that just, I don't know, it's sort of a fragile little balance, it's a trust thing. I think if I was skeptical of his thoughts, I think it would have been harder to deal with, but I don't know, I think he set up an environment where we felt like what we were doing was valuable, and the decisions that we'd made up to that point were right and our own, and he was able to kind of facilitate making it as good as we could.
The lyrics on the album, there's quite a broad spread of subjects that you approach on this record. Mm-hmm. Everything from archaeology to war to the drug warfare that goes on in America. Yeah. What was the thinking behind some of the more political songs on the record, if you could call them that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, anybody that's been around has kind of been on this roller coaster that's been going on the last 10 some years, you know, with the war and some really messed up governmental administration things, lying, torture, ongoing war. I mean, it's the longest war America's been in. And then just the general deceit that's going on and things being run by the rich. And I don't know. That stuff sort of that bears down on me a lot. It can be a little overwhelming, and I guess for the last few years I've really struggled with trying to, you know, how do you express that? You know, sometimes as a musician, there's a tradition for there being this responsibility for saying something about it or expressing. You know, music and musicians have been in sort of a unique place to be able to talk about those things and voice, you know, be the voice of the people or voice for the people. And I've really found it difficult, and I think a lot of ours have really struggled with that the last few years, trying to find a language to express what's going on, because I think the language of anti-war has been overused and worn out and is almost sort of laughable to most society, you know. And I think there's a lot of people just trying to figure out a way to say what needs to be said. But I don't know. I mean, I've never been an intentional writer, so there's never any time where I say, okay, I'm going to sit down and write about how much I hate George Bush, or how much, you know, how much the stock market needs to be flooded and stuff like that. But but I don't know. I've learned that as things are going on, you write, and often down the line you look back and you realize, yeah, I was writing about that. I was affected by that. You know, sometimes writing, you close yourself off and you feel like, okay, it's just coming from me, you know, and it's just this kind of closed vacuum. But you know, I've come to learn that you very much are subject to what's going on, whether it's personal or stuff going on in the world. And I don't know, I think you just learn to be patient and just trust that that's going to be there. Because I think to force it probably is where you run into problems and where it becomes cliche or silly or ineffective, you know.
So, yeah, after 20 years of being in a band together, you must start reflecting on things, how far you've come, and maybe where next. Where next would be my question.
Oh, well, the key to being around this long is to not plan ahead too far.
Yeah.
You know, that's when you start losing perspective on what you're doing. I don't know. We'll tour.
Yeah,
We'll
tour, and we'll see what happens. You know, we know. Yeah, like you said, we don't plan too far ahead. We're always amazed that
people show up.
Yeah.
That a record.
Yeah.
Gets listened to. I don't know. We'll probably figure out a way to be contrary to ourselves again. I don't know. I have a couple of little ideas I've been writing, and I'm not sure how to present them to the world, because I don't think they'll be.
They won't want to hear it.
I don't think they're gonna want to hear it. Plus, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
So we'll start from there.
Okay, great. Well, guys, it's a phenomenal record.
Thanks, man.
Thanks so much for dropping by and talking to me today.
Yeah, no problem.
And
it's fun.
All the best. Can't wait to see you guys. It's April. You're back over here, right?
Back, yeah.
Yeah, we'll do a bunch of shows in the UK, and I don't know. If they go well, we'll come back later in the year and do some more. See what happens. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, guys, all the best with it.
Thanks.
All right, thanks a lot.